Hey Rainbow family, tonight's episode of Rainbow Spotlight dives into the darkest corners of beauty obsession in our community. From a pop star who had 300 surgeries before his tragic death, to a club kid whose face literally started melting. These aren't just bad makeovers, they're life-destroying transformations. Think you can handle the truth about what really happened to your favorite icons? Warning, what you're about to see isn't just shocking, it's heartbreaking. 10 celebrities who crossed the line between enhancement and addiction, between beauty and destruction. Get ready for the most jaw-dropping plastic surgery disasters in LGBTQ+ history. Rainbow Spotlight presents When Beauty Kills, The Price of Perfection. Number 1. Pete Burns, the dead or alive star who danced with death. Remember the androgynous beauty who sang "You Spin Me Round"? In the 80s, Pete Burns was the epitome of new wave glamour, but his pursuit of perfection spun dangerously out of control. The shocking truth, Pete underwent over 300 surgeries in his lifetime. But the real nightmare began with a simple lip procedure. When a doctor injected industrial-grade silicone into his lips, they became infected and started leaking. Imagine performing on stage while your lips are literally dissolving. The horror didn't stop there. Multiple corrective surgeries left him in excruciating pain. He spent countless nights unable to eat or drink, his face so swollen he could barely open his eyes. The worst part, insurance companies refused to cover the corrections, forcing him to sell his song rights just to pay for repairs. By 2016, Pete's addiction to surgery had taken its final toll. His body, weakened by countless procedures and complications, gave out. He died at just 57, leaving behind a tragic warning about the dangers of cosmetic obsession. The most heartbreaking revelation? In his last interview, Pete admitted, "I hope this face is going to fall off so I can start again." But he never got that chance. From new wave icon to surgery addiction casualty, Pete Burns' transformation became one of music's most tragic cautionary tales. Would you like me to continue with the next person in you? Number 2. Rodrigo Alves. From human Ken doll to Jessica. The $750,000 transformation. Would you believe someone could have 72 surgeries and still want more? Meet Rodrigo Alves, whose obsession with becoming a human Ken doll pushed human limits to breaking point. The terrifying journey started with a simple nose job, but one surgery led to another and another until their face became a plastic surgeon's nightmare. The most shocking part? During one procedure, their nose literally started dying inside their face. Doctors warned that one more surgery would make their nose collapse completely. But here's the mind-blowing twist. After spending nearly $1 million to look like Ken, Rodrigo came out as transgender and became Jessica. All those masculine features they paid fortune for? They had to reverse everything. Think about it. Millions spent to look masculine, then millions more to look feminine. The price of perfection? 8 nose jobs, multiple eye surgeries, fake six-pack implants, rib removal, and countless facial procedures. Their body contains so much silicone that doctors say they're practically walking plastic. The scariest part? They can barely breathe through their nose now. The ultimate irony? After all the surgeries to look like a doll, Jessica finally found happiness being herself. But their body will never be the same. Every breath is a reminder of the price they paid for perfection. Want to know the most shocking part? They're still getting more surgeries. Some doctors refuse to operate, saying their body can't take anymore. But in the world of extreme plastic surgery, there's always someone willing to take the risk. Number 3. Amanda Lepore. The transgender icon who became living art, or horror. Think you've seen extreme? Meet the woman who spent so much on surgery, she claims her body is the most expensive piece of art in the world. But at what cost? The unbelievable transformation started in her teens with hormone therapy. But what followed would shock even the most radical plastic surgeons. Would you believe she broke and reshaped her own ribs to achieve a 22-inch waist? That's smaller than most dolls. The mind-blowing list goes on. 3 breast augmentations, buttock implants, lip injections, eye lifts, and countless facial procedures. But here's the most disturbing part. She had her forehead bone shaved down and her hairline surgically lowered. Even her tears ducts were moved. The terrifying reality? She's proud of looking artificial. While others hide their surgeries, Amanda flaunts them. She once said, "I feel like a drawing come to life. I look like a cartoon and I love it." But doctors warn, her body is reaching its limits. Her skin can barely stretch anymore. The shocking truth? The more extreme she looks, the more famous she becomes. From modeling for Mac to appearing in documentaries, her artificial appearance became her trademark. But at what point does art become addiction? The ultimate question: is Amanda a pioneer of self-expression or a cautionary tale of surgery addiction? While she celebrates her living art, medical professionals watch in horror as she continues pushing human limits. Want the most disturbing part? She's not done yet. There's always something to perfect, she says. But how much more can one body take? Wow. Number 4. David Jester. When Hollywood's plastic surgery dream became a nightmare. Before marrying Liza Minnelli, David Jester was a successful producer. But his obsession with looking camera-ready would destroy not just his face, but his entire career. The horrifying descent began in the 1990s. But here's the shocking twist. He went to the same doctor as Michael Jackson. Want to know the scariest part? That doctor's license was later revoked for malpractice. By then, the damage was already done. The devastating results? His face became so distorted that he could barely move his muscles. Imagine being a TV producer who can't even smile on camera. His eyebrows were permanently raised, his cheeks unnaturally pulled back, and his face frozen in a permanent look of surprise. But here's the most heartbreaking part. When he married Liza Minnelli in 2002, tabloids focused more on his bizarre appearance than the wedding itself. The man who used to work behind the cameras became famous for all the wrong reasons. The tragic aftermath. His marriage to Liza lasted only 16 months, with guests claiming her drinking and physical abuse led to even more facial damage. But many wondered, was it the alcohol, or were his features just too fragile from countless surgeries? The final blow? Before his death in 2016, he admitted, "I looked like a monster." From Hollywood producer to tabloid punchline, David Jester's story proves that in showbiz, looking good can cost you everything. Want to know what drove him to such extremes? Sources say he was trying to look as eccentric as his friend Michael Jackson. Talk about friendship goals gone wrong. Number 5. Michael Alig. The Club Kid King's face melted away. Remember the notorious club kid who ruled New York's nightlife? His descent into plastic surgery horror is even more shocking than his infamous murder case. The terrifying transformation began in prison. That's right. After serving 17 years for murder, Alig emerged obsessed with reversing time through surgery. But what happened next would shock even his wildest party crowds. Disturbing revelation. Unable to afford proper doctors, Alig turned to back alley practitioners. Would you believe he let someone inject industrial silicone into his face at a basement party? The results were catastrophic. His features began literally melting and shifting. The horror continues. His cheeks became lumpy and uneven, his lips distorted, and parts of his face started to sag unnaturally. But here's the most chilling part. He kept getting more underground procedures even as his face was failing. The man who once defined club beauty became unrecognizable. The tragic end. When he died in 2020, his face was so distorted that old club kid friends couldn't recognize him. The king of New York nightlife died alone, his face a roadmap of illegal procedures and desperate attempts to reclaim his youth. Most haunting of all? In his last interview, he said, "I'd rather die beautiful than live ugly." Sadly, he got neither wish. From club kid royalty to surgery victim, Alig's face became his final punishment. Want the ultimate irony? The man who made freakish beautiful ended up a cautionary tale of beauty gone wrong. Theater. Number 6. Boy George. The culture club icon's face became a surgery club. Think those dramatic makeup looks were his biggest transformation? The truth behind Boy George's changing face is darker than any 80s eyeliner. Shocking reveal. While everyone thought he was just experimenting with looks, Boy George was secretly undergoing procedure after procedure. But here's the devastating twist. Each surgery took him further from his iconic face that made him famous. The horrifying timeline shows it all. Early 80s, the natural beauty behind the makeup. 90s, the subtle nose jobs begin. 2000s, cheek implants gone wrong. 2010, face barely movable from fillers. Now, original features completely erased the most tragic part. His voice is still instantly recognizable, but his face? Even hardcore culture club fans struggle to see traces of the charismatic singer who gave us Karma Chameleon. Mind-blowing truth. The man who once said love is blind became unrecognizable to those who loved him most. His quest to stay young ironically erased the very features that made him a star, the heartbreaking reality. He recently admitted, "I've had to learn to smile again." The face that launched 1,000 new romantic dreams now struggles to show emotion. From gender-bending icon to surgery casualty, Boy George's transformation proves that karma can indeed be a chameleon. Want to know the ultimate irony? The man who made androgyny beautiful ended up chasing conventional beauty standards. Now that's what we call a culture shock. Number 7. James Street. James. From club kid legend to surgery shock. Disturbing truth. The man who wrote Party Monster became a monster of plastic surgery. The author who documented club culture excess fell into his own spiral of surgical addiction. The shocking transformation started after the club kid era ended. But here's the horrifying twist. While writing about Alig's disasters, James was secretly following the same dangerous path. Would you believe he used the same underground surgeons as the club kids he wrote about? The devastating results? His signature features disappeared under layers of fillers, cheek implants shifted visibly under his skin, lips became permanently distorted, face lost natural movement and expression. Most terrifying of all, he kept documenting it all on social media, turning his transformation into a kind of performance art. But followers watched in horror as his face became increasingly distorted with each new procedure. The cruel irony. The man who chronicled the rise and fall of club kid culture became a cautionary tale himself. His face now bears the same surgical scars as the scene he made famous. The most heart-wrenching part? He still writes about club culture and appears in documentaries, but viewers are more shocked by his appearance than his stories. The chronicler of excess became Exhibit A of surgery addiction. Want the ultimate plot twist? The man who wrote about monsters became unrecognizable himself. Sometimes the observer becomes the observed. Eye syringe. Number 8. Marc Jacobs, fashion's fairy tale turned surgery. Nightmare. Think designing luxury fashion would protect you from beauty pressure. This iconic designer's transformation will shock you. The man who dressed the world's most beautiful people couldn't stop redesigning his own face. The shocking truth. While his fashion empire grew, Marc's natural features were disappearing behind a mask of procedures. In a twisted irony, the man celebrated for his natural minimalist designs chose the most extreme options for his own face. Would you believe he documented every surgery on Instagram? While other celebrities hide their procedures, Marc flaunted them. From facelift to hair transplants, nothing was off limits. But this transparency came with a terrible price. Fans watched in real time as his familiar features melted away. The most disturbing revelation? He kept getting procedures even when doctors warned him to stop. His face became so tight and pulled that it barely moves. The designer known for soft, flowing fabrics trapped himself in a rigid, frozen mask. The heartbreaking reality? His recent appearances at fashion shows have left people gasping, and not because of his designs. Industry insiders whisper that his dramatic transformation is affecting his brand's image. After all, who wants natural, minimalist fashion from someone who looks anything but natural? The ultimate fashion tragedy. The man who made billions helping others look beautiful lost his own natural beauty in the process. From fashion icon to surgery addict, Marc Jacobs became the cautionary tale of the fashion world. Want the most ironic part? He still preaches less is more in fashion, while his face screams more is never enough. Number 9. Ken Marino, reality TV's surgery. Reality check. Think reality TV pressure couldn't break someone? Wait until you hear how this TV personality's face became his own worst enemy. The cameras that made him famous also drove him to destroy his natural looks. The horrifying spiral began with a simple nose job for TV. But one procedure led to another as HD cameras showed every little flaw. Would you believe he got fillers between filming seasons, thinking viewers wouldn't notice? But they did, and the comments were brutal. The devastating truth hit when a live streaming session went viral, for all the wrong reasons. His face had become so overfilled that viewers thought their screens were glitching. His once expressive features had transformed into a frozen mask that could barely show emotion. Most shocking of all, the very reality shows that pushed him toward surgery started rejecting him for looking too artificial. The ultimate reality TV irony, becoming too unreal for reality TV. His face had become its own dramatic plotline, the tragic aftermath. He now struggles to book TV gigs with producers claiming his appearance distracts viewers. The man who wanted to look perfect for cameras can barely face them anymore. From reality star to surgery casualty, Ken's story proves that reality TV's beauty standards are anything but real. Want the most heartbreaking twist? He recently admitted, "I was trying to look good for a fake world and now I can't even recognize myself in the real one." Now that's what we call reality biting back. Theater. And there you have it, Rainbow family. 10 shocking stories that prove beauty can come at a devastating price. From club culture icons to fashion legends, these transformations remind us that self-acceptance might be the best surgery of all. Remember to love yourself, celebrate your uniqueness, and think twice before changing what nature gave you. The pressure to be perfect exists in every corner of our community, but these stories show us why authenticity always wins. This is Rainbow Spotlight, where we keep it real, even when talking about fake. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. See you in our next expose.